I fell and lost to the war, shot me dead. I was lost and I said to the voices in my head, I gotta get up again. I gotta get up to another day. I'm not giving up again. I gotta get up. I gotta get up.
Welcome. How's everyone been?
Nice to meet you, Brandy. Thank you for inviting us.
And I have, oh yeah, I have two hosts here. We have Kelly, we have John. And say hi.
Hi, friends. Bye.
Hello. And today's podcast theme is Metroidvania games and retro games. The reason why I'm putting two topics together because I am out of my depth with Metroidvania games. But yeah.
Let me see. Do you have the share chat thingy? We can probably actually. Can I try my hand at starting this? If that's all right.
Sure.
All right, gotcha. I'm going to press this knock function, and then you should get a notification that you got a shared function, or sorry, the little thing.
Yeah, it's still failing to load for me. But am I in, or is like?
It says that you are in. So what happens when I press this button? Start sharing chat. Okay, there it is.
There you go.
On my side, it is showing.
So there's something going on my side that's an issue. It's either Windows is fucking up. There's some driver issues that's interfering with the browsers, or whatnot. Fame, would you stop sneezing on us? That's bad. You can get us sick.
Sneezies.
But yeah.
My nose. Go for this one. Alrighty. Feel free to start us off, Brandy. It's all yours.
I just did.
Yeah. So Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
What is something that y'all love to really want to know the most about regarding Metroidvanias? Not just chat, just every one of you.
Yeah.
I guess I would start. What is your favorite Metroidvania, if you ever played?
Me? Well, that's a really hard question because of the amount of games, but I have to really give it at least objectively to Super Metroid because because when you start the game, it gives you a banger opening that shows that you're going to go on a big adventure, and then it just drops you into this world just like that. You have no clue where to go, what to start with, and then over time you explore, and then find these different things that can help you explore and better play the game better. And that's what I loved the most about Super Metroid when I played it, for example. So I have to give it to Super Metroid here, honestly. It's really hard to beat that. Yeah, sure, there are contenders like, say, Hollow Knight or Metroid Dread even, which made the worlds far more interconnected and far more different locations to explore while being much more straight to the point in its exploration. So, which is why Dread is much more shorter than Super Metroid, because of the speed and much more quality of life features that allow you to explore much more efficiently, essentially. So yeah. But that being said, though, Super Metroid has to be that. I know, yes, cliche, like, you know, my granddaddy's World War I story, but that's definitely my choice. There's a few more, but that'll derail the topic a little bit.
Fair.
So, what exactly are Metroidvanias, though?
I don't know. You tell me.
Juan?
Metroidvanias are basically a subgenre of action adventure games. So literally every Metroidvania will fit into action adventure, but not every action adventure will fit into a Metroidvania game. Anyways,
Yes,
if you don't mind, yeah, go for it.
Like, say, what do you mean by that, for example? Like, not every game can fit into a Metroidvania game.
Right now, you got a lot of action adventure games, which, let's say, some Final Fantasy or a little bit of Zelda, which are action adventure games. Those games cannot fit into the formula of a Metroidvania game, which a Metroidvania game just takes it takes the format of this world and it's all interconnected, and the ways of you exploring these new areas is you acquiring new skills or key items, and so you can just further expand and further explore the story as you go along. It's not a linear story as you would see other video games that would tell you, oh, you need to go to the red temple to get to the blue temple to get all the items for like this particular scene or scenario or ritual or whatever it is, because you have an end goal.
So in short, even though you have an end goal, it's not very easily clear, even though you're working towards that.
Exactly.
Essentially, right.
You're progressing as you go along, but it's not a very linear. You're not being very guided into what you're jumping into. And we can jump into details further on as we progress.
Oh.
For sure. Like, for example, Metroid Prime, the very first Metroid Prime, right? You remember the opening, right? It drops you in there just like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in Metroid Prime, like the opening, you basically start exploring an anomaly, but you don't know what's going to take you there. You just start with this random anomaly. You get back into your ship, you get attacked, your ship crashes down into this planet, and you just start from zero. You don't know where you're headed from that initial point.
Fair.
Right. So, like, for example, though, there is also a noticeable thing that I was wondering, however. So for Metroid Prime, when you start Metroid Prime, the main protagonist, Samus, comes in fully quite decked out in your gear. You have your missiles, that suit looks pretty spontaneously shiny, sexy as fuck. You know what I mean, right? Just like that. So, but that being said, you, however, lose those powers, however, for example. Why is that? This is also a common thing in Dread as well, because the game starts you off with this banger cutscene. Samus looks bad at, that kind of thing, right? but then all of a sudden you start the game completely depowered, right? So why is that a thing in Metroidvanias?
Usually the idea of that, of having like this powerless being, like you basically lose your powers. It's basically a way to start you from square one. Because Metroidvanias, you progress and you just acquire new abilities and you acquire everything to just go along as you start. But if you had everything in the beginning, then it wouldn't be a true Metroidvania, because it would just be an action adventure game with, you would have literally everything unlocked. You could go to the hardest area, you can go to the end game without having to progress the way of backtracking one area to another to get one item, then you get another item, and it just takes you like fully immersing the exploration. Because like the core ingredient of Metroidvanias is the exploration, because you're basically just going around until you reach this new power, and after you get this new power, new skill, or something that completely just changes the dynamic, the whole world that you're exploring changes, because now you have new areas to unlock. Even in areas that you previously explored, now there's something new.
So the thing that you get new will help you along the way to explore these other areas, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
And also potentially make things easier, so exploration is tantamount, to say the least. You have to explore. And you can't just like fight enemies just like that. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Continue on to the next areas and stuff, right? For example, to get this new power up, to continue moving forward. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole point.
Yes. And then there's also the end goal, which could be pretty nebulous depending on what Metroidvania it is. Like, say, for example, Metroid Prime, you don't know exactly what's going on. You will eventually think, at least I believe, you have to get off this planet, right? But then all of a sudden the story takes an interesting turn, and you have to find these things and that things, for example. And then the story kind of molds into that kind of way. So that's the kind of non-linear story we're talking about here, correct? So it's not just the gameplay, it's also the story.
Yeah, of course. The story basically develops as you're playing and as you're exploring this world that you're basically involved in.
And over time, as you progress, you learn more and more. I mean, that's just like the case for most other video games anyway, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, like, so technically, in most games, let's go to an action adventure, like something completely random, an action adventure shooter like Gears of War or Halo. You basically don't backtrack to the previous level. So let's say that you start off in Act 1, Chapter 1, and you make through Chapters 1 and 6. You don't necessarily once you have these upgrades, once you have this new knowledge, once you progress the story, you do not backtrack into the same, like, you don't backtrack the chapters. What you just keep going forward. That's the format of a linear game. So you don't go backtrack. For example, I mentioned Gears of War and Halo. Once you start in Gears of War, you basically don't go to the beginning area in the prison cell when you're like escaping the prison, that you rescued Marcus, and you're just progressing and learning about the world. You do not go back into that area, because there's nothing there for you. You just keep going forward. However, if you have this new power up, maybe in the prison, like, you know, in a Metroidvania sort of gameplay, maybe the prison had a different area that you couldn't access before when you first explored. And now that you've come with a new power up, new skill, you could take a new different path and you can explore a new different area because of said progression that you've already made.
Yeah. And so essentially, unlike most action adventure games where you move forward just like that, Metroidvanias give you a full-fledged option to completely go back to the first area, and you're encouraged to, because you have these new things that can help you traverse, correct?
Yeah, of course. So right now, a very famous action adventure game and one of my favorite series is Zelda. So once you have, let's say that you start off in one particular game. My favorite Zelda title is Twilight Princess. When you start off in the forest temple, of course you have the new ability that you gain, like the new item, and it helps you progress the overworld. But once you've done the first dungeon, there's literally nothing left for you. So you can go to the next dungeon where you get the iron boots, right? But there's literally nothing that you could do with the iron boots in the first dungeon. So there's no backtracking. Once you're done, you just cross it off your list and you just go on to the next area that you have to go to.
Oh,
and
so that's what differentiates.
That's what differentiates. So right now, let's say that if the first dungeon were to, hey, there's an area where you can go with your newly acquired iron boots, and you can explore this new area in the first dungeon, then that would change the dynamic of how the story and the world progresses. So now you would have a new area to explore. Now you would have new abilities and a new reason to go back. And there's the biggest factor and the biggest thing that you do in Metroidvanias is that you backtrack a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of going back and forth.
Yeah. Hi, Erica.
Back and forth, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Even though, but it is interesting though. It is still possible to enter, say, the forest dungeon in that Zelda game, though, right?
Oh yeah,
but
my bad. So you could go back into the forest dungeon, but you would just go into an empty dungeon because you've already done everything that you've cleared. So when we're talking, let's say, talking Twilight Princess again, once you've done the little story of that dungeon, right, you've developed the dungeon, it basically changes as you progress that singular area. Once it reaches the final form, the final area, example, in Twilight Princess, what you have to do is you got to rescue a lot of monkeys. And those monkeys eventually lead you to go to the boss area. So you would have to find every monkey. Once you've done all of that, the monkeys are completely gone from the dungeon. They do not help you get into the boss area because there's no need to. Basically, you do not explore anything new. You could backtrack, but maybe to catch something you might have missed, but that thing you might have missed, it's probably because you didn't do the exploration well enough, not because you lacked the ability to, because you didn't have the power up, you didn't have that skill, you didn't have that item that led you to not have that item, not have the form of getting said item.
Makes sense. So that's essentially what Metroidvanias are. They are, in short, relatively non-linear action adventure games, right? No easy set path. You can kind of go wherever, but not like everywhere just like that. You still have to find a way to go over there, right?
Exactly.
Yes, right. So once you find the thing, you can potentially be like, so maybe I can use this to go over to there, essentially, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Another Metroidvania that I played a lot recently was Hollow Knight. I never finished it because it did get difficult at a point, and it doesn't tell you. It doesn't literally tell you to go here or go there. You just explore as you go along. There was basically you get dropped hints about what's going on in the world. Right, so in Hollow Knight, there's a character called Hornet, which is the protagonist of the second game, which you literally just you see running around in the background, and you probably see like a little zoom in and zoom out, a little animation that goes like, hey, like this character is like, this is a presence in this world. You don't know much about it, but it's here, it's around. And I was like, okay, so I'm just following this character, but I never expected that the next room would take me to a boss room involving said character.
Right.
So it just completely changed the narrative. I'm like, oh, wow, this is a new experience. This is something new, because now this character that I was following, now it's like my enemy number one in this next scene, in this next area that I did not plan for. I didn't, like, there was no indicator that, hey, there's a boss coming up. Usually that you get those in Zelda games, that you see the gigantic door of the boss room, or maybe you see little hints as you get a lot of power-ups or a lot of healing items right before you go into the boss room.
Right.
But in Metroidvanias, you just go in and you do not expect what's on the other side of that door, what's on that next area that hasn't been explored.
Essentially, I think I got the gist of Metroidvanias. Just as a base as is, especially when, say, thinking of, Metroidvanias. So, but that being said, when we hear Metroidvania, though, what do you think of first, Metroid or Castlevania?
So Metroid and Castlevania are essentially the pioneers of Metroidvanias. However, it's not necessarily the entirety of the gameplay. Just because you hear Metroidvanias doesn't mean that you have to play Metroid or Castlevania. Is that these two action adventure games set the initial, like they pioneered this mechanic where you have to have these new power-ups so you can just progress through this world, through the story.
Yeah. And that's what makes Castlevania Castlevania as well, right?
Yeah.
Everything that can be applied to Metroid can be applied to Castlevania.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not the same abilities and skill sets, but you do have certain abilities and skill sets that are different and unique in their own respective games that go along with the game's lore as well. Example, just because you see that in Metroid, which is a sci-fi, more futuristic game, it's not going to have the same abilities and mechanics as this game, which takes more in more in the medieval times or Victorian era. In the Victorian era, in Victorian
Right.
era Europe.
So technically same, but just different theme, different setting. That's between Metroid and Castlevania, but they still have the same core foundation of what makes them a Metroidvania.
Of course.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. That makes sense. Castlevania does have a different feel, of course, right? Because in like in Castlevania, you have melee attacks, whereas in Metroid, most of them is just shooting.
Of course, and that's to its respective. It's basically to its respective theme and respective game. Just because, again, basically they like you have Metro, which is a more futuristic setting, compared to Castlevania, which is more of a medieval setting. However, the mechanics, although similar, although distant, and like there's a similarity in terms of the exploration.
Right.
Yep.
So, I do have a question for you, Brandy. When you think of Metroidvania, what do you think first?
Well, the obvious Metroid in Metroid. I also think about Legend of Zelda, not the modern ones, the first Legend of Zelda.
Right.
First Legend of Zelda does have the backtracking mechanic. So I guess it's more or less Nintendo pioneered the Metroidvania genre.
Do you think the OG Zelda could be kind of like a Metroidvania?
Yeah. Also, maybe, and this is stretch. Super Mario Bros. 3 is kind of a Metroidvania in a way, where you have to backtrack to get all the secrets and stuff like that.
Super Mario Bros. 3, the original one for the NES, right?
Yes.
And you think that's a Metroidvania because you can backtrack, right?
There's actual secrets in Super Mario Bros. 3. If you miss, like, pretty much, it is optional, but if you miss it, you don't get the secret ending.
Right. But that being said, that's if you miss it, so that means you can't go back to it anytime, or can you?
You can go back at any time to get it.
Oh, okay. It's just before the end of the game then, right?
Yes.
And you think that Metroidvania's, Super Mario Bros. 3 is kind of like a Metroidvania because of that backtrack process, correct?
Yes, because I'm thinking that Super Mario Bros. 3, Nintendo was kind of dabbling into like backtracking to get secrets and stuff like that, and then that evolved to Legend of Zelda, and then that evolved and it kept evolving to the point until like until actual Metroid, where they fully realized the idea.
I see. So
I think this was
essentially
evolved. This wasn't just one single game. This was an evolving idea across multiple franchises, multiple games.
Yes, because back then could it have been called Metroidvanias or simply action adventure then?
So Super Mario Bros. 3 is considered an action adventure game.
Right.
Now, if I may, I will agree with what Brandy said. Yes, Mario. Like I speak from a personal standpoint because Super Mario Bros. 3 is my favorite game of all time. I played it on the NES and SNES, even on Game Boy Advance when the Super Mario, basically the remasters were coming out. I played it on all consoles, and I still do up to this day. Yes, there's the action adventure aspect, but I don't consider it a Metroidvania, and I will explain why. Yes, you do explore in each level, and you do explore each world, but once you clear the world, you go instantly to the next one. The only way you can go and replay the world is by one particular item, which is a very secret item. You don't get it as often. You just get it like 4 times maximum, which is the magical flute. It's a very rare item, and you can replay the world, but it's the same world. It doesn't change just because you have the magic flute and you go into world, let's say, right, that you've progressed from world 1 to 2, and let's say that you progress from 2 to 3 and you use the magic flute to go back to world 2. The world doesn't change. The only thing that changed is that you have these new temporary power-ups, because these are not key items. They're not something that stick with you until the end of the game, unless you hold on to them. So
Right.
you have these power-ups that help you along your adventure, but they don't necessarily change the course of how you explore the original world that you've already played.
Yeah, but
In Legend of Zelda, the original, of course, you do see a new sort of exploration in the overworld. But once you're cleared with the dungeon, you can go back into the dungeon, but there's nothing different that you can progress from there.
Yeah.
I won't. Yes, like I see where you're coming from in the terms of the Metroidvania similarity, where you have a key item and you get a key item from a dungeon. But let's say that you get another key item from another dungeon in Legend of Zelda. You can't go back to a previous dungeon and explore something new because of it. Like what you've done with your with the dungeon, once you're exploring, done with it, basically you're done with it. You can backtrack if you wish, but the dungeon does not change, or you don't get a new area because of it.
fair.
Right. So, like in Super Mario 3, yes, you can replay the levels, but it's not going to be any different. There's not much of a point, right?
So I'm confused on what Metroidvania genre is then.
Okay, so the Metroidvania, it's not a genre in itself. It's a subgenre, because again, Metroidvanias can fit into action adventures, which you've made your similarities, right? You've made those similarities with The Legend of Zelda, and even Mario, when you mentioned that you could replay and get the secret endings, which is true, but it doesn't fit into those games that you've mentioned. Don't fit into the Metroidvania, spark or theme, because the replayability just because you progressed doesn't mean that the replayability is going to change. Again, so now I will say I'm going to talk a little bit more into Metroid. So I'm going to talk about Metroid Dread. When you arrive in the first area, which basically you've lost your powers and you're trying to regain them back, you basically you can progress to a new area in which you can find a new power-up, but that new power-up is going to help you explore that first area that you were exploring in the beginning, where you didn't have your powers. And this new power-up that you acquired is helping you explore more areas in that particular. I'm going to look into the maps because I want to talk more definitively, but definitely in terms of the replayability, it's more it's basically it's a changing perspective. So I have the map here. So there's an area called Kataris, and Kataris is not going to be the same as Arteria because these are different environments. So you have different environments where, you know, Kataris is more of a lava involved area, apart from Arteria, which have some lava spots, but it's usually a more neutral, beginner friendly area. Now, whatever you gain in Kataris, which is one of the second area, more a bit more advanced area, whatever you gain from there, you can explore from Kataris to Arteria, and then you can explore a new area. For example, 𝙂𝙗𝙤𝙤, which 𝙂𝙗𝙤𝙤 has a new feature, a new ice region, a new ice map that you would need you would need a new item to traverse the ice spots. So, because if not, it's not going to help you progress. You're going to lose damage. You're not going to get through a certain spot. And I'm just talking about environment. There's a lot more key features. So there's the power bombs, that if you do not have power bombs, you can't progress those secret areas that are only accessible once you have that power up. Just like with missiles, if you don't have the ice missiles, you can't take down these obstacles in your way that unlock a new area. So you can go along and you can go around in the game, right? You can go along and go around the game, but once you keep progressing, the more you progress, the more exploration is going to be open for you.
Then what?
Yeah, I see.
What does Mega Man fall under?
Excuse me?
Not Mecha Man, Mega Man. The blue the blue robot boy.
Mega Man falls under a platformer. Essentially.
Yeah.
There is no. Sorry. Would you like to go, or should I go?
No, you can go. You can go. You can go.
Gotcha. I'll take the spotlight. Thank you. So platformers are a completely different genre from action adventure. Platformers fall under action than, say, action adventure. You know, subgenre of action. That's what platformers essentially are. It is possible for a Metroidvania to be a platformer, but that doesn't mean a Metroidvania has to be a platformer, but they might have platformer elements. But Mega Man does not fall under Metroidvania, because once you finish a level, it's usually impossible to go back to them just like that. I mean, you could in later installments, but just like with Super Mario Bros. 3, there's not really that much of a reason to, unless you just want to replay the level for the fun of it, even because you already explored the level. What is the point aside from, for fun? So whatever you got from the level, or any other future progress you made, does not carry over to the previous levels that you already know of, aside from knowing the level or knowing, how this or that works. for example. That's why Mega Man isn't considered a Metroidvania. Does that make sense? Any more questions?
That makes sense.
Yes, yes. But in short, Mega Man is meant to be a platformer game. Action platformer. A platformer is you have to utilize
yes, I know what
very well.
Yes,
right?
I know what a platformer is. I'm not 5 years old.
Yeah, I know. That's just me being as specific as much as possible.
Yeah, I know what a platformer is. I'm out of my depth with Metroidvania games at all.
Right.
Okay.
But in short, yeah.
So now that since you are not so familiar, but this is Metroidvania is something that it has progressed from retro, and we can see technology evolve Metroidvanias as well as shooters, action adventures, because action adventures have changed progressively throughout the years. Now, usually what you see action adventures, you see a more open world, or you see more a more expansive world that you can basically explore and set your eyes on. But talking about the retro aspect that you mentioned, Legend of Zelda and Mario Brothers, what is the retro game? What is the retro that you've best identify or best familiarize yourself with? What's your favorite retro genre?
So I don't particularly have a favorite retro genre. In a sense, pretty much whatever my siblings played, I played as well. So I don't actually have a preference.
Now,
something that perchance speaks out the most to you, though, as best as possible.
Okay, so I think the ones that speak out to me the most. Okay, when I say old school racing games, I'm not talking about the 1980s or 1990s ones. I'm going to be more talking about the late 2000s to early 2010s racing games. As well as late 2000s, early 2010s platformers, action adventure games, and some FPS shooters.
Right.
Yeah.
of course. Now, reading over to chat, because I saw that Autumn the Slime. Hi, Autumn. I hope you're good. I hope you're doing well. Basically, they mentioned that the only ones that would be considered Metroidvanias would be the Mega Man ZX series. I will say that that's an interesting take, because I have played. I haven't finished, but did play Mega Man Zero, which is actually not a bad game. The story's a little confusing for me, but I will say that you do get to replay the new worlds. Basically, you do have upgrades and new new areas and upgrades that you basically you have new power-ups, and you progress, and it makes it easier. However, basically you do a little bit of backtracking. Now, just because backtracking doesn't just involve it's not just the core element of a Metroidvania. Because backtracking, you could do backtracking in, let's say, Pokemon. You can do a lot of backtracking in Pokemon. However, just because Pokemon there's backtracking doesn't mean that it falls into a Metroidvania, because there's basically the element of just having these these creatures, these level up RPG experience. Now, I will say there is a Metroidvania which experimented with the idea of an RPG, specifically a monster simulator RPG, which is called Monster Sanctuary, which is a Metroidvania because you do have to acquire new monsters, and those monsters' abilities actually help you progress the world. So, to give you an idea, if you're going to be exploring an underwater area and you need to progress with, let's say that you're going to use a particular monster's ability that helps you navigate heavy currents, currents that are like pushing you back, then this particular monster is going to help you traverse that particular area. There's another monster that helps you progress in a higher jump, or maybe a double or triple jump, because it's more of a flying monster, and that ability helps you just reach a bigger height. And you can reach bigger platforms that you couldn't normally reach if you didn't have said monster. Again, there's also strength users, that there's basically boulders in your way that if you don't have a particular monster, then you can't push those boulders out of the way. But it is a Metroidvania because you can have this said monster. Maybe you didn't have the monster in the beginning early area of the video of this world, but now since you can explore this new area, or you can explore a new area of that old section of that old chapter, this old setting that you played, a previous unlocked area. Now you can unlock new areas coming into it. So I know I'm basically mentioning a lot of areas, but you have a particular region, and then you explore a new path from that region because you got this new ability, new monster.
Right. So essentially, it's a Metroidvania with Mons elements, or is it a Mons game with Metroidvania elements?
It's a Metroidvania with Mons elements, and they basically sync together because you can't do one without the other. So you have to explore you do have to explore the different regions, but you can't really progress if you don't have the necessary monsters to make the progression. So again, you have a monster that you have to basically have an upgrade. If you do not have this particular upgrade or particular monster, that you can't really have, again, that higher platform that you can't normally reach is basically out of your reach unless you have this particular monster that you have to grind for.
Right. But it's still technically Metroidvania in that at least you can go back to previous areas, use those monsters to go get this or that, and it's a Mons game essentially because you collect, monsters and you raise them, and both of them they share equal elements. It's not like just it's a Mons game with Metroidvania elements, or it's a Metroidvania with Mons elements, right? They're both like the games, both genres are equal and heavily reliant on each other to be considered like a full-on hybrid game, right?
Yes. So I failed to mention
Hi, Flora.
How you would normally in a normal Metroidvania, when we mention the different settings that you have Metroid a more futuristic, a more futuristic. The combat system is different because you now have a more long range, a medium to long range. You're not too close range in terms of the combat dynamic. Now, in Castlevania, you have a more closer range because it's different and depending on the setting. Now, the combat system in Monster Sanctuary is essentially the monster element, the monster RPG element in Pokemon, because you use said monsters to battle other monsters that you find in the overworld, or maybe that you find another monster raiser or monster. I forgot how it was monster trainer. It was a monster trainer. Summoner. Monster summoner. And you basically find these other monster summoners and you battle it out as if you were playing a monster Pokemon, a Pokemon dynamic or Pokemon RPG element, but only in the combat system. And the exploration system takes heavily on Metroidvanias because you need specific monsters and specific items to progress the areas and backtrack and progress new areas in those old regions that you previously explored.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there any games similar to that?
Similar to Monster Sanctuary, I believe that is the only one that I have ever seen using that particular dynamic.
Really? Oh, interesting. So you would say that game is very innovative then in what it could do, combining Metroidvania and Mon's RPG games.
Of course. And
I see.
And it's not the only hybrid game that you could see using that formula. You have, there's this other game that it's become really popular over the years. It's called Dead Cells, which takes the roguelike element from having new items coming into the beginning of your run. However, you do need to get certain key items to find new paths to progress. So to kind of explain myself, in Dead Cells, when you do have these new you have this new item that you use to explore. Basically, let's say that you need a grapple ability so you can hold on and climb vines or something similar. Basically, you have this with you at all times, regardless of the runs that you previously ran.
Right. I know what you mean.
So, now I think about it. Like mid-20, like the early 2000s, the late 2000s to early 2010s games. Something that comes to mind is Sonic Colors. You know, it's a platformer. Whatever abilities you unlock, you can bring back to previous levels to explore other areas.
That's interesting. However, I feel like it's not necessarily a Metroidvania because the worlds and levels are separate.
Actually, for Sonic Colors in particular, is actually one big conjoining stage separated into several levels.
Interesting.
Right.
Something similar to like Sonic 06, which pretty much has an open world hub, and whatever abilities you unlock, you can bring back to previous levels.
Right.
Now, if you excuse me, I have to excuse myself to the bathroom, so I will be right back.
All right.
Go for it. Should we take a short break while John is down for the count? Or not the use the restroom, take a break.
Yeah.
Hi, Effie.
I can.
All right, by all means. So far so good. You understand everything so far, right, Brandy?
Sorta. I'm still out of my depth with this.
But would you like to take a short break?
Yeah, I can, can I run an ad? Where's my ads at? God damn it.
Let me see. What kind of ad settings do you remember having?
That one. Alright, there we go. I usually run a 3-minute ad break.
That's okay. We can use the short restroom really quickly if that's okay, because I do have to use one thing.
Alright. Everyone,
Alright.
I'm gonna
Thank
be.
you. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm talking chat. I'm talking to chat.
Oh, okay. So I can excuse myself to the restroom, all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yep. Thank you. I'll be right back.
Chat, I'm gonna be running a 3-minute ad break while they use the bathroom. All right. And for everyone else, once again, I don't think I have ads unlocked for TikTok. But yeah, I'm running a 3-minute ad break on one of the sites. But yeah. Oh, well, I need to say, pretty much for everyone else. Hello. I just realized something. So I already know everything else is a mess. Is an absolute mess. I fucking drank 2 cups of water. Holy shit. Anywho. Purple site has ads running. I don't think I want to be eligible for ads so badly on TikTok. I know I'm not, like, I don't know what else to talk about. Some retro games that I can think of I played was Need for Speed Most Wanted, Forza Motorsport 2, not Banjo-Kazooie, I never actually played it. Crash Bandicoot, that was a good one for one of my retro consoles. And I have to say retro consoles because I actually cannot specify which console. Let's see here. As well as there are a few things that I was trying to think of what I played. One of the games I played was Project Gotham Racing, which is a precursor to Forza Motorsport. It's pretty much Forza Motorsport with beta. And it was an interesting concept. I love all the cars and stuff like that. One of my most proud moments is that I had I pretty much had drifted around a corner so tight that it just looked like it came out of a movie, basically. I think that's one of the proudest moments. On the other hand, 140 some followers on the red play button and 99 followers on Hello.
Hi. I came back. Are you all good?
Yeah, I'm all good. I was just talking about some games I played in the past.
I heard a Need for Speed when I was in the restroom when I was looking through the phone.
Yeah.
What kind of
I am back.
do you remember what Need for Speed it is? Oh, welcome back.
Welcome back. All of you just came in just in time for the ad break to end. Anyhow,
Okay, wonderful.
so the Need for Speed games I played personally was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed Underground 1, Need for Speed Underground 2, Need for Speed Most Wanted, and Need for Speed Carbon.
Right. I see. So you have quite a bit of experience in the Need for Speed series.
Yep. I don't play any of the
If you don't-
modern Need for Speed games nowadays since 2012. I stopped playing. I don't play Need for Speed games past 2012, basically.
Right.
I've also, if I can add, I've also delved into like previous, like to the early 2000s and mid 2000s Need for Speed games. The last Need for Speed that I have played was Need for Speed Heat, which it did give me a nostalgic idea of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. However, it didn't replicate it because something that I would say that it's very important in a Need for Speed game is the soundtrack. The soundtrack has to.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, soundtrack.
The soundtrack.
Ugh.
Exactly.
The soundtrack has to kick. If not, it's not a true Need for Speed. I mean, it did have a little bit of nostalgia because I did feel like when I was playing in Need for Speed Heat, you have like a daytime and nighttime settings, like daytime and nighttime cycles.
Yeah.
So during the daytime, you would do like legal
Hi, everyone.
street racing. However, during the nighttime, that's when you see the hot pursuit element that, hey, you're going to be followed by the police can capture you, they can impound your vehicle and all that, like those old mechanics. However, which was really nice because if you played the races at night, it changed the amount of reputation you gain, but not the amount of money. And if you play during the daytime, you get more money, but you don't get as much reputation. So it's like a take and giveaway.
Yeah.
It's a take and.
Oh, thank you, Trip, for following. Thank you for catching the stream. I hope you've been enjoying the streams, or pretty much like, or enjoying the VOD as well, or the videos. Welcome. So the only two modern Need for Speed games that that were worthy of my money from the impressions I got from the playthroughs I've seen, and from the back end information I pretty much I found out before the either release was Need for Speed Payback and Need for Speed Heat. Payback was it was okay. I like the story element of it, but like at the very end, it was like, I say it was worth it. It was worth the money. It was, but the end game was underwhelming.
Right.
Of course.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love all the action.
You guys go.
And for Need for Speed Heat, what you said, I myself got like a nostalgic feeling. And it did give a challenge, yes, which I like. I love challenges. But at the end, the end was the end was worth it, and pretty much yeah, the end was worth it, and let's just say I wish, here's the thing I wish the ending had. I wish the ending had had the Most Wanted style and Last Pursuit.
Oh.
That-
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Basically, Most Wanted 2005 Most Wanted Last Pursuit mission was basically you had to survive 5 minutes against heat level 6 cops, and here's the thing. Most wanted police tactics are actually taken from real world police tactics. All down to the detail goes so deep, all the way down to the radio, which names the exact street and which direction you're headed.
Right.
Yeah, and basically. When I was younger, when I played it, even though it's easy for me now, it was hard for younger me to complete the last pursuit. And the ending of Need for Most Wanted 2005 was so worth it. Not only so the premise of Need for Most Wanted is you're a street racer trying to gain some rep. Your rival sabotages your car, takes your car, rebuilds it, and uses your car to go up the blacklist. And then you have to use a car that you borrow or perhaps you bought. And you have to go up the blacklist with that car until you meet your rival who took your car. You challenge your rival. You win. You take your car back. You have the final pursuit where every single cop in the entire region is after you. You escape, and it continues into Carbon, which you meet one of the main antagonists, who's a cop named Cross. Cross went from the sergeant of the police department to a bounty hunter, and
oh my.
Yes, Cross wanted his revenge, basically. And basically the premise of Need for Speed Carbon is there's a bunch of territories you have to take over. You're working for this shady person. In the middle of the story, in the middle of the story, you almost get caught in the cutscene or arrested in the cutscene, but Cross has a change of heart and lets you go and gives you your car keys back. And you go on to defeat the shady person you were working for, and then you pretty much dominate the entire area. And that's the end of Carbon.
Ooh.
Pretty much at the end. That's the end of the story.
I see.
So that's why I
the
wish.
Climax.
Yeah, I wish that Need for Speed Heat had the Most Wanted style Final Pursuit.
Oh,
But
so
pretty much here's the idea I had. The player character steals a cop car to chase down pretty much to chase down the person who stole the BMW M3 GTR, the one from Most Wanted.
Right.
And pretty much at the end, once you defeat the corrupt cop, you actually get the M3 GTR. It's not the same, but it's close enough. The sound and feeling is close enough.
So you would love it if the next Need for Speed would have that type of system, or that type of gameplay.
Yes.
Ooh.
I mean the hot pursuits in Heat, the The hot pursuits in Heat was outstanding and fantastic. Gives a challenge, makes me rage whenever I get caught, because Most Wanted was already harsh if you get caught and arrested.
Mhm.
Need to Be Heat takes that up to 11. Like, you lose all your rep and you lose all your money.
Oof.
Yes.
Protagonist's journey from fine to broke.
No, protagonist journey from broke to rich until you get caught.
Oh, okay. So that's essentially like a loop then, right?
Story lore wise, you go from broke to a very wealthy street racer. And you take down the corrupt cop who is pretty much taking money from street racers and taking money from the civilians.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So something that you see here, basically, there's a different perspective here. So as like technology, right? Like we went from retro and basically are going to a newer gen, and basically just a newer we're basically going into a newer generation. Now, basically 20 years ago, back when, things were a little bit more edgier and everything, basically you would have a more edgier type of storytelling. Because basically what you're like, the main focus was like the storytelling wasn't as impactful as back then when it was like 2005, mid 2000s, etc. Because like the storytelling, again, also the music of that era also influenced kind of like the storytelling and everything. So when you have Need for Speed Most Wanted in like 2005, Need for Speed Most Wanted, basically the storytelling was at its peak because, basically of how the culture was set up to be. So everything was a little bit more edgier. We were a little bit more rougher around the edges and everything. And, we progressed, and progression isn't bad. It's obviously it's great. But we basically progressed from one thing to another. Now, instead of an edgier sort of deal that, we're just basically going out for revenge, now in this new sort of storytelling, we're kind of vigilantes because we're taking down corruption. We're like, we're basically being like new heroes, sort of like, or anti-heroes, because we're not like full-fledged heroes, like goody two-shoes. We are doing illegal racing, but there's like a lot to take into because, again, we're illegally racing, but for the greater good and sort of like that. So the storytelling actually absolutely changes, obviously, through every generation that we go through.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same as 20 years ago or 30 years ago or so on. But yeah, basically there is a reason, a perspective. And I understand, like, I understand your point of you're having a more nostalgic feeling because that was you love the edgier tone and like the darker tones and like the darker like storytelling because like you're going out for revenge because this guy betrayed you, and this is like a betrayal story, sort to speak.
Right. I don't really know Need for Speed a whole lot. All I know is Underground and Hot Pursuit. I haven't finished Hot Pursuit though. Sheesh. This is a whole new different territory to me. As you see, I'm a chimpkin. Cars aren't really my forte because I could just like run and stuff, But yeah, it's a whole new territory for me.
For me, a video game can go only so far, but the story itself pushes the game even further.
Mm-hmm.
And
It hooks you.
yeah, pretty much. And I'm thinking personally, this is only my opinion, that Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 was the peak of storytelling, of racing storytelling for the racing genre.
No, of course. And that's, you don't know what the future will bring, because basically you can't replicate something that it's already done, but you can make something maybe a little bit better. Now, there has been basically a new, like a lot of elements. Like back then, of course, CGI and face tracking and everything wasn't as advanced as it is right now. I played Need for Speed, like the game, like it's like the 2000, like the 2020 or 2019 version of Need for Speed, the one that's just titled Need for Speed. Like there's a basically it's the storytelling is a lot more, it's a lot more unique, because it doesn't just give you, oh, like these people are just telling you what they're gonna do, what they're doing. They're not, it's not like a narrative perspective. They're trying to basically involve the player into that narrative. So there's just not telling you, oh, this is what I'm doing. It's more of a, hey, we're going to be doing this and it's going to be really cool. And it looks like it really, like, I enjoyed the cutscenes, although the racing was not up to par. It did not, like, the gameplay was not great, but the cutscenes were pretty, like, they were pretty decent. And the technology that used, they literally put actual production to do real life people just hanging out with real life scenarios and that sort of stuff.
Street racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Any way to simulate that, it would definitely be Need for Speed, you feel like?
I feel like Need for Speed, he tried to replicate what Most Wanted did, but also put its own spin on it.
Of course.
I mean, I'm all for it. I love the way that these developers did. How these developers went with how they implemented hot pursuits and police chases, and the pursuit mechanics and the general pursuit mechanics. The only thing that kind of bothered me a little bit, and I may be nitpicking here, is the even though also previous games had pretty much damage models, I think one of the old school ones that did is Minute Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, or the Minute Club series, also had a damage system. If your car totals, you lose the race. I think what Nishi he did it pretty much they did that, but pretty much up the stakes a little bit too high. It was fair. It's fair for like what for like lower heat levels. But like when you get to the higher heat levels for 3, 4, 5, you gotta be at your A game and not get hit, or else what? Pretty much like 3 hits, you're out. Kind of thing.
Oh, there's a bit of a challenge.
It's a bit of a challenge, yes. I think there's more than just a challenge. It's more like if you're not playing the game perfectly, you get punished for it.
Right.
Yes.
This like most games where if you don't do this thing, you fail at this thing, you obviously cannot progress properly, or you get a setback.
Okay, so with the older games, with the retro games like Minute Club, obviously, I feel like the older games were a little more lenient. They're still tough to play, yes, but they're a little more lenient than how modern games are being made.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think the difference is between it's pretty much two different eras of the same type of game. However, the one major difference that I notice is the more modern games, more racing, FPS, stuff like that. No, I think they have there's pretty much either their difficulty system is a little too harsh. I mean, I get wonder why, like, the developers, game developers overcorrected from the old school era to be more lenient and easier, but they overcorrected too much, and then they overcorrected even further with making hellish, god awful, hard as fuck difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Halo CE, Minute Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, and Need for Speed Most Wanted did difficulty the best.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
So is it like peak balance in difficulty?
Yes, peak balance and difficulty, yes. It was not too easy to where you had to be strategic, but it was not too hard to the point that people rage quit.
Oh.
Yes.
Right. So, like, yes, you can be punished for being bad at the game, but the game is still lenient enough to not want to discourage you from continuing onward.
Yes.
But the game's still challenging enough for you to want to push yourself to be better at the game. Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that's the type of difficulty that's perfect or peak per se.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I haven't seen that kind of like balanced difficulty since 2013. Since 2013, developers overcorrected to being too easy, and then they overcorrected again to be somehow even harder than 1980s and 1990s games.
Oh my.
Yes.
Right. And that's why you're not a big fan of the recent entries, right?
Yeah.
Some of the more recent entries.
There's one big reason. The other reasons are there's only few and far between. It's only few and far between the game mechanics are actually like they make you think, but also let you have fun with it. It's either games now make you think too much, or it just the gameplay and story just feels directionless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, what's the point then, right? Because of the lack of direction.
Yes. If there's the lack of direction in like game mechanics, it may end up frustrating the player to the point that they just quit the game.
Mm-hmm. And they would rather play something that they personally love or enjoy because they're not like getting it, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I get that feeling.
Thank you for following. Hi, Truly. How are you? Thank you for following. Welcome. How are you?
Go.
So something to kind of like add to what you guys were saying, to what all of you were saying. Basically, I understand the challenging, but again, video games were very rough around the edges, and basically they were like for a niche. Basically, they were like a niche for a particular set of people. What usually like teenagers and young kids that enjoy that sort of gaming. Now, gaming has evolved to the point where anyone, even someone who's first experiencing for the first time, can get into it, like
Yes.
without too much effort.
Yes, basically.
Because a lot of games back in the day, back when it was like 1980s, 1990s, it was very skill based, but now everything's more watered down, and it's basically you can have now basically different difficulty settings where you can just enjoy the cinematic experience of a game, or you can have like a hardcore challenge you can choose between if you want something hardcore or want something more casual.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the option of like having like game of choice, like a game or genre of your choice, that alone has improved in recent years, which I personally do enjoy. At the same time, I feel like games are a little too corporatized. Like, it's meant to be fun, not meant to be profitable. I mean, I understand.
Right.
Businesses have to be profitable. I understand that. I think the issue that not only me but also like significant bunch of the gaming industry has expressed is that a lot of games, including like single player games for some god awful reason, have become like pay to win kind of thing.
And
Well, absolutely. So, basically diving into that, I understand where you're coming from, and it's now starting to kind of die off because everyone was jumping on the bandwagon where you would have, for example, basically microtransactions started basically early 2010s around there. Right, by 2011 around-ish, we started seeing microtransactions pop in more and more and more. So obviously the first instances of microtransactions, we see it back in World of Warcraft and stuff like that, where you would trade in real life currency for in-game currency and so on and so forth. And usually these sorts of games had like a very brief subscription plan, or they were completely free. It depends. Now, yeah, so usually it was more PC games who started the microtransactions. And you would see games like, for example, Wizard 101, that you would have microtransactions built into it. And you would have like a little subscription plan just so you could have access to the game. Now, with more modern consoles and everything, it took a little while, but it did start making its way into specifically Call of Duty games, where you would see Call of Duty games, or maybe even the 360 era, you would see people just paying for skins for their avatars.
Right.
And basically you would have like these microtransactions that necessarily didn't add any sort of value apart from like a personal taste, evolving into something that would be ending up pay to win, because you would have, etc., let's say a new weapon skin for a weapon you don't, weapon schematic or something that you, for a weapon you never unlocked. And it could be one of the best ones, or it could be one of the worst ones. And yeah, it's basically that sort of scenario.
Fair. Things like, once again, I still personally play the Halo Master Chief Collection because there's no microtransactions. Plus, you actually have to play the game. Well, you actually have to to actually play like the campaigns or like custom games, stuff like that, to gain enough like credits to buy armor pieces, stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah,
I see.
there is an in-game currency.
That's all too familiar. Is that also part of the reason why you think the Need for Speed series is kind of going kaput per se? It's fallen victim to that type of monetization practices, right?
Yes, it's also the reason why I stopped playing. So, also like Forza series, it's my childhood. Forza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I
6,
actually
7.
I only own Forza Motorsport 1 and 2. I play couch co-op with my siblings for 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Ooh,
Yes, but
couch co-op.
yes. But like I stopped at Forza Motorsport 8 because of the whole scandal their Turn 10 was caught in. And I have Forza Horizon 2, 3, 4, and 5 on my Xbox. But I essentially stopped buying Forza Horizon games because it's just not worth it. Plus my PC just cannot run Forza Horizon games. It's just it is too graphically demanding. I couldn't even run Forza Horizon 4 without my computer itself lagging as all hell.
That's understandable. It's mood, to say the least.
Yeah.
Things take too much per se.
Yeah. Plus, I didn't like where Forza Horizon is going. Here's the thing, Forza Horizon 6 is based in Japan, which I love Japan, but the monetization and pay to win aspect is so prevalent that I just stopped. Players been complaining since Forza Horizon 3. It wasn't bad back then. It was tolerable. It became a little bit of an issue because they're forcing a little bit of pay to win, stuff like that. Plus, the seasons were okay, but it was underwhelming, and nobody plays in the winter season. And
I see.
And Forza Horizon 5, they quote unquote had seasons, but really, it's based in Mexico. Forza Horizon is based in Mexico, and there's not much season variability in Mexico, to be honest. And the seasons were underwhelming. The story progression is underwhelming. The races were underwhelming. Everything was underwhelming. And like, Forza Horizon 5 was the only reason why I got Forza Horizon 5 is because there's the second Forza Horizon 3 has its first Hot Wheels collaboration, like generic Hot Wheels stuff. Forza Horizon 5 was a little bit special since it had the Dior 2 in the Hot Wheels collaboration, which is part the Dior 2 just comes from one of my favorite Hot Wheels movie franchises back in like 2005. Which that's the only reason why I got Forza Horizon 5 is just to have the DR2. That's about it. And
Hot Wheels.
yes. And
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 6, I want to buy Forza Horizon 6, but it is expensive. It is expensive. It is god awful expensive. I mean, Yep.
Okay, I will say this. Usually, I've seen this happen a lot, more often than you think. Usually, you would see a game like Call of Duty, game like Forza Horizon, basically that are popping games just for the sake of popping out games, just for the sake of having sales. But they're not taking a step back to kind of like analyze on what's going on and how can we fix it. So, for example, another game that has aged very well, and I believe you all agree, Assassin's Creed, basically Assassin's Creed 2 and 3, 2, 3, and 4 particularly. 2, 3, and 4 have aged like fine wine. They've aged very well, and they have been very, very iconic games.
Exactly.
Assassin's Creed 1 is great. I love Assassin's Creed 1, but the second just took it to another level, and I love it for it. So basically, you just see like a progression of where Ubisoft was popping out Assassin's Creed after Assassin's Creed. They literally just lost the whole concept, and they didn't have their identity anymore until they brought back Assassin's Creed Mirage, and Assassin's Creed Mirage had a bigger nostalgic feeling towards Assassin's Creed, but not there yet.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Shadows was cool. Playing in Japan was really cool and everything. But it wasn't the best.
Fair.
Mirage is where they kind of like let's take a step back. Let's go a little bit bare bones and try to go to our roots.
Yeah.
So the constant corporation and corporatization of video games as of the beginning, like the past few years up to a decade, I would say, has just been, let's pop out games just to make sales, make money. So, and that's another thing that's happened with Nintendo. I love Nintendo as a company, as an entity, but the whole scenario where they're literally just popping out Mario just because of let's pop out Mario, and let's pop out games just for doing it and not for the sake, not for the love and care of a video game just so we can make money. It's insane. It's insane.
One thing I'd like to chime in about is that let's see here. I want to say Forza Horizon 4 and 5 has good moments. Forza Horizon 4 pretty much had the collaboration with Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Which is very odd. But also Forza Horizon 5 had also good moments with good selection with the Hot Wheels DLC car pack. But also was it Forza Horizon 5? Forza Horizon 4 had a Universal movie car pack that pretty much brought the most iconic cars, plus the Retro Wave event, which brought back pretty much the Nissan NXZ, the Nissan NXZ, which pretty much was the poster child of the Vaporwave era. And what was it again? Also, they brought the Knight Rider car. They brought Jurassic Park. They also Halo 4 also, not Halo 4. Forza Horizon 4 also had its own Halo mission, basically a Halo event.
Oh,
Since well, both Turn 10 and 343 is owned by Microsoft, so they had the legal right to do that.
right.
Interesting.
That's why we're
Plus,
that's why
the
hearing...
Warthog was ported to Forza Horizon 4 and 5.
Right. That's why you're hearing Halo music for copyright protected stuff. Like when you stream Forza Horizon 5, you hear Halo music if you have that option on.
Yes. Copyright, you have the option on until you get into the special mission, which Halo is considered a special mission, a special race for Forza Horizon 4, which unfortunately they override the creative protection option for like they have like streamer mode for Forza Horizon 4. However, the special races override the streamer mode and you get copyrighted anyways. It's intentional on Microsoft's part.
Ooh,
Yes.
interesting.
And
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Microsoft. A lot to say about Microsoft, but that would
Yeah,
probably
Microsoft.
like derail the whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot's been happening, hasn't it?
But yeah, I've been sticking with retro games and the Halo Master Chief Collection.
You love
Yeah.
Halo?
I love Halo to the point like I play it pretty much whenever I stream it. And what was it again? Oh yeah, I'm constantly looking for players to collaborate with. Yeah.
Right. I am currently working on a Halo run with someone right now. I'm supposed to do that very soon. But aside from that, what do you think is the best Halo?
For me specifically, I do think the best Halo is Halo 3.
Oh, I just finished that actually with someone around 2 weeks ago. I love how the game really feels, especially going from 1 and 2.
Yes, exactly. Plus, one of the Halo mods, one of the Halo mods for Halo 3 I enjoy playing with is the multiplayer Spartan mod, which is basically it injects your multiplayer Spartan into the Halo mission.
Right.
So because you can play as yourself in a Halo mission.
Kind of like skins, and you have that appearance, right? Same with say the Arbiter.
Yes, you can play as your own elite skin.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's kind of like what Halo Reach did. So pretty much the mod is taken from what Halo Reach did was pretty much if you play multiplayer campaign in Halo Reach, you actually play as your own skin, not Noble 6.
Huh.
Yep.
And they brought that concept and ported it to Halo 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Halo. Can't wait to see what Halo 3 ODST has in store.
Oh, Halo 3 ODST is so worth it.
Ooh, can't wait.
It is worth it.
Can't wait. Very soon, once we're finished, that's what I'll immediately jump into with a friend. Oof.
Hey, I'm willing to jump to Halo ODST with you.
Yeah, but I usually try to like plan these here and there, but I would like to reach out to you with that one later if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
If that's yeah, okay. Also, right. Juan, you know a lot about Halo?
I'm. Oh, my bad.
You can talk.
Was it me? Was it addressed to me?
Yeah. Do you want?
Okay.
Do you want? Yeah, Jan.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Jan.
I saw
Yeah.
the U. I saw the
so-
U for some reason. I guess I'm just.
Hey, so
oh well, whatever. Go for it.
nah, you're good. You're good. So basically, I do know. I do know about Halo. I'm not the most knowledgeable goober in the Halo universe. However, I do know about plenty about Halo that basically that these are basically just big war machines and all that stuff, and humanity is just working with it, yeah, and the Covenant and all that stuff, and like humanity's like it's just like confusing, yes, but I do know a little bit here and there. I just like shooting things and making things go boom. It's like it's like my whole deal with Halo. But yeah, definitely we could plan that. Like it could be like a fun little event that we could probably do. I was gonna ask you all, what do you think? And it was mentioned before, but it got dropped. What do you two think about couch co-op play?
Couch co-op.
Yes.
I miss couch co-op, pretty much.
Yes. That's all I need to say. Yes.
Yes.
I will say I love couch co-op. I like one of my favorite things growing up. It was taking the Wii and a little bit of Wii fun with Wii Sports and Wii Play and all that stuff. I loved one of my favorite Wii games is Super Mario Sluggers. And oh my god, it was like, yeah, it was a really fun game. It was really, really fun.
Ooh.
And couch co-op too.
Yeah, it was very couch co-op. A lot of games were couch co-op until until microtransactions started making their way in. Them corporates bringing microtransactions and taking couch co-op. It is really sad. It's a really sad thing. However, couch co-op is making its way back into the living rooms. Because we have games, for example, like Split Fiction, which is a recent game. I think it came out last year, which it is a couch co-op, and you have I forgot the name. It's the one with it's the one that was made by EA that they won the Game of the Year.
Ooh.
Everyone plays it. Everyone plays it. It's like the one that This Is Us? No, it's not This Is Us. Oh my god, I forgot the game. I forgot the game. I am so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. One game I realized. One game that just popped in my head was this game. Okay, so fun fact: this game originated from the Xbox 360 as an indie project that ballooned into its own franchise. Does anyone remember playing Marble It Up?
Sorry, what was that?
Does anyone remember playing Marble It Up?
Marble It Up.
No.
The only Marble game I
it's
remember
basically
playing
from the Xbox 360 era. It was kind of this passion project where you're like a marble with a. It's pretty much a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer free for all sandbox kind of thing. Basically, you're like this marble, and you can choose a marble skin to stand out and stuff like that. And then pretty much what it was is pretty much you roll around and try not to knock other players off the map.
Interesting.
And it ballooned into its own kind of campaign series where you have to complete a bunch of levels to earn points to unlock more skins and skin accessories. And
more skins from Halo.
I don't really care about the skins, but I am addicted to Marble It Up.
Ooh, Marble It Up. Let me take a look at that game.
Right now, I'm addicted to Marble It Up Mania.
Marble It Up Mania. The only other Marble game I know is a game called Marble Blast on the PC years ago, but that's my
Marble
only
Blast.
experience. Marble Blaster, I think it was called. It's an old game. The graphics are this is what it looks like, actually. Oh man, this does remind me of Marble Blast or Blaster. I forgot what it was called. Exactly what it's called.
I'm not sure, but I remember playing it like a marble game on the Xbox 360. This is like way back in the day. Way back in the day.
Also, I've just gotten the DM. It looks like my collaborator is down for allowing you to join in for some ODST time, if that's all right. I don't mean to like derail the podcast, if that's okay.
Sure.
No,
go ahead.
You're good.
You're good.
Yeah, okay. But is there any other closing statements or any other extra statements about the entire podcast that you would all like to mention as well?
Let's see here. The only thing that pretty much comes to mind is that I noticed like in the last year or two, that more and more games are going back to its roots. I'm seeing like more indie games being more successful than AAA titles.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
because
yeah, Forza Horizon 6 went back to its roots. They have more realistic upgrading system now.
Ooh.
Where you cannot make a me build. You cannot chuck a V12 into a POP 50 anymore.
Right.
They have restrictions now. But it actually like balances out, but it is still pay to win in a way.
Ooh.
Which
that's
even though it's Japan, and I would really like to drive in the Horizon version Japan, I just can't support Turn 10 anymore. About what they did to Forza Horizon 3, 4, and 5. I just can't. Even if they bring back you, I'm glad they brought themselves back to the roots. They stepped back, but I just can't support them anymore.
That's totally a fine choice by all means.
Yeah. John, do you have any closing statements?
Yeah, so basically we're going through, and it's not just in video games, but we are going through a sort of renaissance. We are going to go through a sort of renaissance, and this is not just video games. This is basically movies, acting, and like a lot of different, basically a big perspective in the world of arts. Because right now, with everything just being generated by AI, and basically, this is a whole different topic, but basically everything being generated by AI, and there's a lot of simulator games that are like made with AI and everything. I've played some, and I've basically done a little bit of here and there. Basically, you just see that people, like game companies, are going back to their roots. What you were saying a little earlier, they're going back to the roots. Couch co-op is making a comeback slowly and surely.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there are ways that we're kind of reverting into a world where basically the humanity and everything is just coming together. Something that I've noticed in these newer games that came out in Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right. Pragmata. Basically, so we're having a new take of basically this is more like a kind of like you're giving, like a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm getting father vibes because I'm just like father and mother vibes because we're just playing these games and you're taking care of this child, etc. We're kind of revolving and going back into this cycle where we're
Hmm.
going to kind of like look inwards and then express and just take all of that, like the core things of being human, of having connections. That's why, like, couch co-op, bringing connections back into the living room instead of just having everyone separate, bringing everything
Hmm.
back into the living room, basically going back to the roots, doing stuff for fun and not just for the money, because it's basically, although money is there to be made, we're basically just reverting kind of back into all this stuff. Like now there's Pokemon Champions, which is, it kind of gave me a little vibe of a really old Nintendo 64 game called Pokemon Coliseum. Not Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Stadium. And basically it's just like a little bit here and there. We're just kind of like going back a little.
Ooh. Fair,
Going
fair.
back. Hmm.
Honestly, I think it's more of saying that we're going we're kind of going back to the player's interest instead of corporatizing everything for profit.
Yep, everything seems to be coming in full force for sure.
Everything seems to be
Yeah,
coming full
absolutely.
circle.
The players' voices are finally getting heard at the very least. I was pretty confident that it would go back into the direction of that sort of, but there's still going to be that one space that where things are pretty heavily corporatized. It's just not as prevalent as much anymore. So now
That's true, because
it's a bit of a mess. So yeah.
personally, what I think is that companies have flown way too close to the sun, and pretty much people finally realize that they're able to talk with their wallets and able to actually like figure out how to choose for themselves.
That's pretty understandable.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I think that's that's one of the big reasons why it got us kind of like a coming to Jesus moment, a epiphany, or pretty much trying like the quote unquote ancestor ways of how it worked, and it's working. But yeah.
Right. Oh shoot, my freaking headphones died. Oops, sorry.
You're good, you're good.
I can still hear you though. It's just my headphones freaking died. I just realized that. I get what you mean though. Just vote with your, just believe in what you vote for. I mean, if you want to buy something, well, hey, more power to you. I mean, yeah, okay, sure, you enjoy it, it's fine. But like, that's fine. I respect your decision. That's like whatever. Saying that it's the best or this is one of the better directions. Well, that's probably when I'm probably going to challenge that prospect. But yeah, I'm generally pretty neutral about this kind of stuff as much as possible. But I'm not really a big fan of some of the approaches. I get why some companies do this. The whole point is to make money and a profit, right? And that could sacrifice game quality. That's the point. But but yeah, eventually someone's probably going to catch up or get some kind of reality check, and hopefully they learn from it. And most developers and publishers worth their salt, at the very least, does learn from things. At the very least, even Nintendo has a bit of a rough history here and there. It's kind of weird. It's I don't know how to explain it properly, but kind of like Nintendo Switch 2, they got a bit of a reality check there recently. Now they're kind of reducing their $80 games to $70 now.
Which I believe 70 is still a little much for price for video games.
It was about time Nintendo ended up eventually going to the $70 route, and hopefully we get back to 60. It might push it a little bit, but I can only hope at this point. The only reason why I'm lucky at also for getting games is mainly because I work at all.
Yes,
But I
I
can't really
understand.
say the same. Sorry, I can't really like say it's very good for those that are like struggle to be able to play things unless they go like the special option. If you know, you know.
Yeah, and with the pretty much the PC hardware crisis, pretty much, companies have pivoted towards optimizing their existing products because, well, customers can't afford anything. Not even companies can afford anything.
Oh boy, it's gotten oversaturated.
It's gotten oversaturated. Like the top three big boys, the Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, stuff like that. They're all stacking up the all kinds of chips from every single part of your PC.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Makes
it's not working out. Companies finally figured out it's not working out in their favor.
Yeah. Most people would rather go for whatever's comfortable for them the most at this point, and that's what companies are going to have to keep in mind. Really.
Yep.
And it's a business, but yeah.
It is a business at the end of the day. I do understand that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
I know what you mean.
It's been 2 hours and I ran out of stuff to talk about. So, y'all ready to end the podcast?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm ready to end.
All right, chat. I just want to say, thank you everyone for joining today's podcast. My name is Brandon Blitz. I'm a variety streamer. I stream lots of video games, chat suggest me as well, so I draw art, and hopefully I'll be doing 3D model for everyone here. Y'all want to say your pieces?
Bark, 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 bark.
Bark, bark, bark.
I'm a fucking chicken, bro.
John.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm a voice actor and streamer and V-streamer. Basically, I've done a little bit of PNG VTubing. I've done IRL VTubing. Wow, IRL streaming, and basically just sitting in a neutral ground. I haven't streamed in a couple of months. It's gonna be up to a year now. Usually, I had just a little bit of bad internet, and then a lot of stuff, plus a lot of VO work started coming in. So it's not, usually it's like here and there, but yeah, basically I am planning to come back and start streaming video games and making podcasts and a lot more content for each and every one of you. Yeah. And with lovely creators such as Brandy and Kelly that I've recently met, which are absolutely wholesome. So, and thank you for having me on your streams, on your respective streams.
And it's an honor to have you here.
I'm glad to be here anytime.
Alrighty. With that being said, we gotta get going now, Blitzies. Bye bye, matinee.
Found and lost to the war. Shot me dead. I was lost and I said to the voices in my